Hi everyone, and welcome to the webinar tonight. We are very pleased to have the gentleman from CanAlt Labs to present all this information about hair mineral analysis and IgG testing, and it's going to be quite exciting. So I just want to introduce who we have here with us tonight. So starting in the far corner there, we have Dr. Pierre Baumier, and he's owner of CanAlt Labs. He's also the past president of the Canadian Chemist Society, and he's also the former owner of Maxim Labs and has 35 years in laboratory experience. So he's going to be available to answer questions later on. And if we're lucky, we will also have Nagy Azat, he's the lab manager for CanAlt Labs, and he is a chemist as well, and has close to 30 years of experience in hair mineral analysis. And so he's going to be on, and if you end up using their services and getting testing done through them, Nagy is the one who would be available to review reports to ensure that you understand the reports. And we also have with us Meredith Deasley, who is a holistic nutritionist, and she is the owner of The Resourceful Mother. And this is a company whose sole purpose is to connect families to health and happiness through nutrition and life coaching. She's also the author of 2 books, and she teaches pediatric nutrition and body, mind, spirit at CSNN. And she will be telling us how she uses this type of testing in her practice, and just discussing that sort of information to sort of put a real holistic nutritionist spin on these things. And then, so hello, hello, Meredith.
Hello.
We're hoping Melinda Swackhammer also joins us as well, but she's speaking right now, and so we'll see if she joins us later. And then last but not least is Frank Roberts, and he is the Director of Sales for CanAlt Labs, and he's going to be doing the actual presentation tonight, and he will be discussing any logistical issues or questions that we may have, and he's here to just help us understand all this. So welcome, Frank.
Thank you.
Okay, so if you would like, you can call up the PowerPoint. And while you're doing that, I'll just let everyone know that I did send out the PDF slides earlier today, and I will be sending out a quiz later on for those who need it for practicum hours or for CEU credits. And so it's just a short little quiz just to verify listening. It's nothing technical, just to make sure that we knew that you heard the whole thing, and then we give you a letter of confirmation. All right, Frank, are you ready?
I am ready.
Then we will let you take it away.
Okay, thank you, Lorraine. So, CanAlt Labs, see your health through your hair is exactly what it says. What we're looking for are the minerals in the body, and what nutritionists like are minerals. So I love nutritionists because they understand the minerals in the body. So what we're doing is we're looking at the hair for the minerals. With us tonight is Dr. Pierre. Nagy is going to hopefully get on. He's got some technical difficulties. Nagy Azat, Meredith Deasley, and Melinda Schwackhammer, and our host, Lorraine Sorrell. So we'll be talking about hair mineral analysis. We'll be talking about a hair cortisol. We'll be talking food sensitivity, toxic screen for breast milk, and DHA score on breast milk. This is a machine that we use. It's an ICP-MS spectrometer. This is the same machine that they would send to Mars when they're looking for minerals. So it's the most up-to-date, talking about parts per trillion. We could see a grain of sand from a swimming pool. It's that detailed. Hair mineral analysis is the only test to check for malabsorption. At the end, I have some reports that I'll just share with you. But you can see quite clearly and easily that, oh my gosh, they're not absorbing. So if somebody is, needing zinc, and you give them zinc, and they're not absorbing, they're wasting their time and money. So it's a great test to check for malabsorption. Other health problems we can see: ADD, autism, allergies, heart issues, Parkinson's disease, hyperactivity, learning disabilities. Many things we can see. we can see the profiles of the minerals in the body. We know the chemistry changes so that you're healthy, there's a chemical change in your body, then you get sick. And we're looking at this chemical change, and we know what the norms are. What is a hair mineral analysis? Well, it's a test which measures the mineral content in the patient's hair. It indicates what the body's burden is. Toxic or deficient levels affect your health, and we can see this in the profile. It is exactly like getting a liver biopsy, just less invasive, but just as accurate. Minerals. Minerals are stored in the hair. That's why it's such a great tool, this hair mineral analysis for you. There's 96 times more minerals than vitamins by weight in the body. It's involved in all the functions. It was discovered in the second half of the century, but we didn't have the technology really to measure it, and it's, you know, with the new technology we have, we can actually see it. Minerals cannot be made up in the body. It comes from nutrition only. That's a good point for us nutritionists. This shows you different minerals and where effects in the brain. And why I added this, you'll see all the ones that affect the brain. All the toxic metals, they all affect the brain. So it's, all the minerals are important throughout the whole body. Minerals that look alike. Good minerals, zinc looks like cadmium. So if you're low on the zinc, you're going to accumulate the cadmium. Calcium, lead, magnesium, you're going to get, you know, the arsenic, aluminum, and that. So minerals look alike, and then they start accumulating because you're deficient in something. Minerals, calcium, for bones. You guys know all this. Phosphorus. Calcium cannot work without it. If people are taking calcium and vitamin D and are low on phosphorus, they're wasting their time and money because they're not going to accumulate the calcium in the bones. So this just goes through a little bit about that. Lead, either high lead or low lead, as affecting learning disabilities. Manganese, nickel, iron. So the minerals in the body have to be at a good balance. Because our bodies are the best defense to illness. We just got to give the opportunity to do that. I asked you what your how much gas is in your car, you could probably tell me, but you know, we look at the amount of oil, antifreeze, brake fluids, windshield washer. We check our cars all the time, but we never check our own body, see what that level is. Linus Pauling was a 2-time Nobel Prize winner. There's not too many of them. He was a huge chemist. You can trace every disease, every ailment, ultimately to a mineral deficiency. And that was from Linus Pauling. That was one of his quotes. And we added a more complete statement will also include a mineral surplus in the body can become toxic. See the health? By golly, it's balance. Good mineral balance equals good health. On our reports, we talk about the ratios between the minerals, and I've just picked sodium and potassium. A very high ratio can indicate stress. Very low ratio associated with weak immune system. A high ratio could be autoimmune systems such as rheumatoid arthritis. Glutathione, very important to the body. It's an antioxidant, an immune booster, and a detoxifier. Produced naturally in the body, and it needs selenium. There's 4 selenium molecules to 1 glutathione. Now, the one thing I like about this slide is at the bottom you see cellular aging, disease, and death due to glutathione loss. The glutathione loss is because of buildup of free radicals. We can see that with the hair. Oxidative stress, we can see that in the hair analysis. And buildup of toxins, we can see that in the hair analysis. So with one hair mineral analysis, we can see all these things and bring your people back to health. Sleep. Our bodies work in cycles. From 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. it's a very important time. And it's only during sleep that our bodies can automatically detoxify. So lack of sleep will make your body acidic, causing loss of calcium, magnesium, barium, and strontium. If we miss this opportunity, we don't get it back, and we start accumulating metals and changing our body chemistry. Healthy levels, when you're deficient, on the left here is nutritional minerals. If you're deficient in calcium, you're going to pick up mercury and lead. If you're deficient in zinc, you're going to be toxic in aluminum, cadmium, and lead. So it just shows you that it's like it is a balance. When you're low on one mineral, it starts affecting every other mineral. Lead. Where are we getting our lead? Well, hair dyes, lipsticks, ceramics, food cans, mercury, dental amalgams, medications. Arsenic is in beer, cosmetics. So we're getting all these external minerals without even knowing it. What I've done is I've picked a couple of minerals that I always found were pretty neat. Lead, it's hard to detect because the symptoms don't usually appear until dangerous amounts are accumulated. And lead will displace calcium. So the effects: learning disabilities, slow reading advancement, slow growth, high blood pressure, memory loss, can cause miscarriages. Rubidium, the sleeper metal, and the reason I put this in here, first of all, rubidium mobilizes lithium, which is the calming of the brain. High rubidium with low potassium puts muscles into a state of semi-paralysis. But I like this quote on depression. The mention of depression suggests a near in America. Mainstream medicines prefer to rely on pharmaceuticals rather than nutrition for treatment may one day be seen as a medical tragedy. I got that from an article, and that fits right in with what nutritionists believe, and we believe too. This is our owner, Dr. Pierre Beaumier, and Remy Sad is a biochemist with our lab. Came up with this. It's a periodic table of food. It's the best food to eat to replenish each mineral. So, for example, lithium. The best source for lithium is goji berries. So if somebody needs lithium, it would be great to add goji berries into their diet. And if we look down, we see, if I'm looking at bone issues, I'm looking at barium, strontium, calcium, and magnesium. They're all in a line, and it makes it interesting. Calcium, the best source of calcium is basil leaves. I think people are coming around. Everybody thought milk was the best source of calcium, but as one nutritionist said to me, name a great big strong animal. And I said, an elephant. Yeah, he don't drink milk to get his calcium. So they're eating leaves. So this just goes through all the different minerals and what best food to replenish it is. This slide here, the rules of minerals. So you can see the calcium, magnesium, it's on the left. And whereabouts? Joint and bone health, tissue repair, stamina, hormone. So you can see just, this is a great pictorial to show your clients when they say, oh my gosh, I'm falling apart. You can say, well, let's get some minerals in balance here. Low interesting facts. Well, low selenium is associated with allergies and it will not accumulate in the body. Low cobalt, related to vitamin B12. Low sulfur, associated with toxic mercury and arthritis. That's why the sulfur baths help with arthritis. Low selenium, again, 4 seleniums to 1 glutathione. So low selenium would be a poor immune system. Nickel. 25% of the people are allergic to nickel. The coin handlers, people working at the banks, they have a higher than normal cancer rate, all because they're working with this nickel. And items containing nickel, like we didn't even know, eyeglass frames, zippers, stainless steel, jewelry. So we're getting these things and throwing our mineral balance out. Many minerals affect infertility. We are actually starting to work with fertility clinics because they're realizing that maybe the chemistry in the body is kind of important too. So you can see the copper, the manganese, a lot of them are, work towards a healthy body, which then able to conceive. So when they have infertility, it might be an unhealthy body as opposed to something physical. What are we feeding our babies? If mom's toxic, so is the breast milk. So we've done breast milk toxic screens just to see what are we feeding our babies. DHA score, another test that we do is the omega-3. In the world average, you can see it's about 0.35. In Canada, we're lower than that. And in countries eating a lot of fish, they're up at 1. So the higher the DHA score, for the more omega-3, it's the increased mental development index. It's the higher the mental development. So it's a great test to start adding some omega-3s. Consider these facts about your health. Our bodies cannot utilize vitamins without the proper mineral balance. Minerals are the spark plug of life. They're almost involved in every enzyme reaction within the body. Today's diet, because they're not seeing a nutritionist, doesn't supply adequate amounts of the minerals. And some regions are deficient in the key minerals like selenium. They said in high crime rate areas there's low in lithium, and that's the calming of the brain. So it makes a lot of sense. Proper mineral balance is essential to avoid the fatigue, the weight problems, headache, irritability, and high levels of toxic metals revealed in the hair analysis. We can see possible Alzheimer's, ADD, diabetes, autism, Parkinson's. What's the difference between blood, urine, and hair? Why hair? Well, blood analysis indicates what's happening now. Blood will tell you what's happening today, maybe yesterday, but is really good at getting rid of it. That's about as far as that goes. If we happen to hit it at that particular day, we still don't know what else is in the body. It's just in the blood.
Right. Yep. Cut in and out there for a minute. Can you repeat what you just said, please?
Yeah. I'll start back at the blood. Blood indicates what's happening right now and possibly yesterday. And it also is affected by what we eat. So urine is what's happened in the body, and it's only from the kidneys. So a hair mineral analysis will tell us exactly what's happening at a cellular level for a period of about 3 months prior to the sampling. Like the bones and other organs, hair is great. It's a great tool to use, and it stores all the minerals. It's easily collected and stored and analyzed, and the mineral concentration is sometimes 10, 50 times higher than in the blood. Here's an example of mercury. It's between hair and blood, it's 300 times more mercury in the hair than in the blood. So the concentration is much larger. Selenium. Low selenium in hair is seen with cancer victims, poor immune system. A healthy, when we do it, is between 0.8 and 1.5 is a healthy. We've seen deceased at 0.5, and we've seen cancer victims at 0.35. So keeping a high, good rate of selenium, it will help your immune system. In Cornell University, they did a study, and they're saying that the higher the selenium intake in all parts of the world can expect to reduce cancer rates. This was done in 2000, so that was like 15 years ago. So they're saying high selenium will help with cancer rates, low will be seen with the sick. We took a topographical map of the United States, and Canada is an extension of this. Where it's dark blue is low selenium in the soil. So Ontario, Quebec, the Maritimes will be low in selenium, and British Columbia will be low in selenium because it's just an extension up. Now, if we take a map and put over top of that high breast cancer rates.
Frank, we're not able to see the presentation at my end. We can hear you, but can't see the presentation.
I can see it.
I think. Lorene, we can see it okay?
It's okay now, Frank.
Okay. Lorene must have stepped out. So
Her
this.
microphone's off.
Sorry, I was on mute. Yes, you're fine. We can see you the whole time. It's okay.
Okay. Okay.
The attendees are saying they can see it.
Okay. Thank you. So this is a topographical map. Dark red is high breast cancer rates. And if we can see that the high breast cancer rates correlate with the low selenium in the soil. 2 Brazil nuts a day will give you enough selenium to maintain a healthy level, and it's the best source of rubidium. That is assuming, people don't ask the next question. If you're buying Brazil nuts from California, there's no selenium in California. If it's not in the soil, it's not in the product. So selenium is not necessarily in all Brazil nuts, but if you get Brazil nuts from Ecuador, they're full of selenium, but not from California. Strontium. Strontium's a great mineral. We've seen if it's high strontium in the hair, it means that you're losing it. But it helps with arthritis and it helps with the bones. In the Mayo Clinic, just in women over the age of 80, they added strontium supplements, decreased their bone fractures by 59%, almost 60%. And another study in the New England Journal of Medicine published a study that showed a fracture reduction of 49%, almost 50%. And in the same study, they did a group in the study consumed both calcium and vitamin D, did not show any reduction in the amount of bone fractures as compared to the dramatic improvement with the group consuming strontium. Strontium is bones and helps with arthritis. And another study, the height loss related to aging was reduced by 20%. Common causes of a mineral imbalance in the hair, well, toxic exposure, improper diet or absorption, taking unwarranted supplements, medications. I put physical and emotional stress and chronic fatigue in red. We can see emotional stress and physical stress with a hair mineral analysis. That's why it's a great. Diseases, osteoporosis, infections, and heart disease. Free radicals. We are going to be having on our report a oxidative stress index, and all because of the free radicals, which you guys are well aware of. High iron in the hair has been linked to oxidative stress, and antioxidants neutralize harmful free radicals in the body and are able to keep your cells healthy and youthful. Stress, the silent killer. The problem with stress is that you don't know the damage it's doing until it's too late. So we look at cortisol. We do a hair cortisol. It's a great biomarker for your chronic stress. The other way to do it is with saliva. And with saliva, you have to do it in the morning, mid-morning, noon, mid-afternoon, mid-evening, evening, and they take an average of that particular day and say, this is your level. If you're stuck in traffic, your cortisol goes up. If you're, fighting with your wife or your husband, your cortisol goes up. If your dog is, so many things can affect a short-term cortisol level with saliva. Hair will tell me the last 3 months of your chronic cortisol level. And I think as a practitioner, that is a much useful number to use than 1 day. So hair cortisol is a great thing. And the main function of the cortisol is to regulate the body's response to stress. Cortisol maintains blood pressure, helps slow the immune system's inflammatory response, helps balance the effect of insulin and breaking down the glucose for energy. Diabetics will know that the higher their cortisol or the more stressed they are, the higher their sugars. Helps control the metabolism of proteins, carbs, and fats. It works with the cell receptors, the thyroid hormones in the blood, therefore enhancing thyroid function. Benefits of cortisol: its ability to make sure sodium is not lost, helps increasing short-term memory, helps the liver remove toxins from the body, regulates and helps prevent calmness and everything else. Excess high cortisol moves calcium from the bones and affects depression, infertility, blood pressure, type 2 diabetes. How to stay healthy? Well, maintain a good mineral balance. Maintain a good level of glutathione. Keep out, excessive levels of free radicals. We all have free radicals, but we don't want too much. Keep a good immune system. Know your cortisol and mineral levels. And somebody put this on here. Get a hair and cortisol analysis now. That sounds like a good idea. The other test that we do is food sensitivity. We just got the new equipment. It does 200 foods, and it's microchip. It's a great tool to use. Delayed reactions to the foreign food antigens. What we're doing is a food sensitivity, not food allergy. It's an IgG. And where am I here? It's approximately 45% of the population are affected by food sensitivities. And many people are undiagnosed, and symptoms are non-specific, and can't get to the root of the problem. Symptoms of food intolerance: respiratory, skin, cardiovascular, muscle and joint points, psychiatric, gaining weight, all because of food intolerance. What we did here is I tried to blow up this is page 1. What it does, it gives you the elevated foods, borderline foods, and normal foods. So you would want to, as a nutritionist, you already know this, but you'd want to delete maybe 3 or 4 of the foods that are the top, and then work it out from there. So that's page 1 of a many-page report. How to use results: elevated, strong reaction to a particular food, recommended to eliminate the food. So what they're saying, if you have a elevated reaction, take the food off for 3 months, and then maybe reintroduce it and see how it goes. If you're borderline, a lower reaction to the particular food, reduce or rotate foods for at least 3 months to avoid the intolerance. Obviously, it might be difficult to eliminate many foods at one time, so just take the top 4 or 5. They suggest you might feel worse for a couple of days, but it's just your body's response to the system of the impact of change. Usually takes 3 to 6 weeks to experience improvement in your symptoms, and then gain after 3 months. It's likely that the level of IgG antibodies will become normal, and that's assuming you're working on the gut as well. I'm just getting into some of the hair. This is page 1 of a report, and this is osteo. Now, I'm going to, I don't know how you can see that, but I'm just going to, you see high lead for osteo. This person's acidic, so I see high barium, high calcium, magnesium, and strontium. They're all high. It's leaving the body. Therefore, it's they're acidic. This is a great example of the difference between blood and hair. This is a welder, and if I tell you red is bad, green is good, yellow is borderline, we see a lot of red. This is a 21-year-old welder, and he is very, very toxic. And he's 21. We suggested he may not live to be 25 if he doesn't do something. He had a bunch of blood tests taken because he just felt rotten. All the blood tests came back normal, and that's because they're going into storage. Or not, the blood is doing well to get rid of it, and it's storing it in the hair. Very toxic, and this is why you'd want to do a hair mineral analysis, because that's where it's stored. This is somebody under stress. This is actually somebody under emotional stress, and we looked at this report. Again, you can see they're acidic, high copper, In this particular person, you can see high iron. So first of all, they're acidic. Then we see a high iron, high nickel, and low selenium. That's a great profile for cancer. But I can't say that they have cancer, but they have a great profile for it. And there's selenium. I said before that I saw cancer victims at 0.5. This person's selenium is 0.25, a low immune system. But they are like a ticking time bomb that has not gone off yet. So either you bounce out of stress or it ends up killing you. And the next slide is this person 1 year later. Here's 1 year later. And what I've done is actually I moved the slides up so that we could read it. I missed the bottom. But so 1 year later, they're able to balance back and are much healthier now than they were a year ago. My nutritionists tell me they would have made them a lot healthier a lot sooner. This lady did nothing, but she had emotional stress, and we could see that on the last slide. The calcium and magnesium was very, very high, creating a calcium shell, and which is affected by emotional stress. And we can see that in the hair. Then she admitted, yes, I'm going through a divorce, and it's nasty. And this is her 1 year later. So she got through the stress, but as I said, a nutritionist could have made them healthier a lot sooner. This child, ADD. With ADD, hyperactive, we see high. If you see the lead, the aluminum, and high copper, the toxic metals, which we shown at that one slide, affect the brain. So high copper affects the brain, and then the toxic metals affect the brain. In this particular child, give them ADD or ADHD. Malabsorption. Here's a great example of malabsorption. This young girl went to the doctor for about a year getting tests and that, and they couldn't figure it out. Through the hair analysis, we went, yeah, you have malabsorption. So even if she is on supplements, it's not working. She's got gut issues, something going on. But you can see very clearly about malabsorption. I think a nutritionist teacher said something about fix the gut first. Is that right, Lorraine? This was a schizophrenic. I can't look at the report and say, oh, you're schizophrenic. But I can take the symptomology with the report, put it together, and get a better understanding of what's going on in the body. Copper affects the brain. Very, very high in copper. Very, very high in lead. So between the two, with this particular patient, is contributing to their schizophrenia. Tics. This is a great success story. This boy is 12 years old, could not write his name. His arm just kept going out, just kicking out. We did his hair and went, wow, you're very, very high in copper, high in lead, high in cadmium. We brought the copper down by bringing the zinc up, and if, as a nutritionist, you would phone and review this with Nagy. Nagy would go through this with you and tell you, add zinc to bring the copper down. 3 months later, this boy is able to write sentences. And the mom's like, you cured him. You know, we didn't cure him, we just made it manageable. If his copper goes back up, his tics will come back up as well. Autism. This is an autistic child, and you can see the absorption issues. When I'm looking at bone issues, I'm looking at the barium, I'm looking at the calcium, magnesium, and strontium. Look at the calcium, magnesium, and strontium. Very, very, very low. And the sodium, potassium is way out of whack. And copper. Again, copper affecting the brain. So this is the profile of an autistic child. Fertility. It's another success story, but this particular young girl could not conceive, worked with I'm not sure whether it was a nutritionist or a naturopath. Anyway, ended up, she has a child now. Well, we could see very clearly that she has absorption issues. The sodium, I just hit something I don't think I should have. The sodium potassium is very, very low. Unhealthy mom. Weight control. This is somebody couldn't lose weight. We look at this. If I look at the calcium magnesium, somewhat of emotional stress. I don't know if the emotional stress is causing a weight gain or the weight gain is causing the emotional stress, but they all are part and parcel together. But you look at the sodium potassium. Sodium potassium should be 2 to 1, and this definitely is not 2 to 1. This is hugely off the chart. And again, you see the high copper affecting hormones. This is an interesting. This child was pretty hyperactive, and at 1 year old, and so we did his hair and went, oh my gosh! Like, look at the sodium potassium is way out of whack. So they are certainly adrenally stressed. The copper is high. Now, what we did is decided to do his brother. His brother is 3, and if you look at this profile, now look at the 3-year-old. Almost the exact same profile with them nutritionally. They need to see a nutritionist right away. So I'll just go back to show you. There's the 1-year-old, and then back to the 3-year-old. You can see how it's very, very similar.
Thank you, Frank. That was a great presentation. And so what I'd like you all to know is that we're doing a part 2, which is going to be a Q&A, so you get all your questions answered, and it's going to be held on Thursday, December 9th at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And the whole group is going to be there to answer whatever questions you have, so you can find out more about how to use this in practice, as well as more about the technology, especially with the IgG test. It is done with a pinprick. They put 2 drops in a little vial of blood, and if you're wondering how they can get so much information from 2 drops, it has to do with the type of technology that they're using. So they will be explaining that, as well as any other questions you might have. Now, I have included the pricing in the email that I sent out with the link for registering, plus the replay as well from tonight, which you've obviously got or you wouldn't be listening to this. So hopefully we will see you on Thursday night for the Q&A session. All right, welcome everyone. We are here again on Thursday night with our live Q&A session. And with me tonight we have Nagy Azad, who is the lab manager at CanAlt Labs with over 30 years in hair mineral analysis expertise. We have Melinda Swackhammer, who finally made it into the and she is a practicing RHN, and she will be discussing how she uses this in her practice. We also have Meredith Beasley, another practicing RHN, who will be discussing this as well. And of course, we have Frank back, who delivered an amazing presentation on Tuesday, and he is the sales manager for CanAlt Labs. So welcome, everybody. And what I'd like to start with is for Frank to start explaining. We'll start with the IgG, because I know this is what I'm getting the most questions about. Can you explain, in layperson's terms, technology that is being used? Because for those of you who don't know this IgG testing is not requiring someone take blood from, somebody intravenously or anything like that. It is done with a pinprick and a couple of drops of blood are placed in a vial. And it's because of the technology that they use that allows such a little amount of blood to be used. And because they're using this technology, we as holistic nutritionists can use this in our scope of practice, which is not something we could use previously. Can't see everyone here.
Thank you. So the new technology, it's with a microchip. So it's just like the old TVs used to have the big tubes, and then now it's all just microchips. Same thing with the blood. So instead of filling up, if you wanted a 120 panel or a 98 panel, they had little wells, and you had to fill up all the blood in all the wells. And what they do now is about the size of our fingernail. What happens is we can put the blood onto that, and that tests 200 foods twice. So the technology is such small that it actually tests it twice to make sure that it's accurate. So that's why we only need a little bit of blood now, is because of the new microchip array.
Okay. And so why is this more accurate?
Well, it's more accurate because of the computer laser technology. The old style used to be the ELISA, and the ELISA is, if you consider a graph and the rounded edges, you have to make sure you test at a straight line, and it's very difficult to test for that. So the numbers were always skewed and everything else. With the new technology, it is what it is, and it's exact. We can give it an exact number.
And each food item is being done in duplicate, so it's like you do it twice to confirm the result. One more thing, also, it is a semi-quantitative. It's not just positive or negative, because ELISA is a positive or negative. This one, it will give you semi-quantitative.
And that means what?
That is mean, like there are food which is highly interacting, above 30, for example. These are the most you are allergic to, and there is some food also will be medium allergic, and there is food which is negative. So you will be able to find which are the most sensitive food.
Okay.
Yeah, and again, it's sort of like the old TVs were black and white, then they got color. Now they're 3D. Now they're even so instead of just testing the food when you come down and test here, it's like a 3D effect. So it tests all over. So it gives you a more accurate description.
Interaction, yeah, more interaction between, because it's basically antigen antibodies interaction. And if you do it in a 3D, means you are trying to do interaction. Imagine it's like a ball, and you try to cover all around. It's not just one surface. So the interaction is more accurate too.
Excellent. Okay, well, there's a question here. Marina's going to read it.
So Kathy wants to know, how does this version compare to a product like Rexall Hemocode?
Yeah. So, and not that I'm running anybody down or any process. There's been issues with the paper that is used in that system. What you do is you take the blood, you put it on a paper, then it's analyzed. Our system, it goes right onto the blood goes right onto a microchip. So that's the difference between the Hemocode and ours.
And also there is a big contradiction about the stability of the blood spot. The one what they put it on the card called blood spot. The type of filter paper might affect the technique. Also the technician who cuts this blood spot might not cut the full circle with the blood, the extraction of the blood also from the filter paper has an issue. So there is stability of the blood. It might get affected too.
Yeah.
One more thing, a microarray is the latest technology now, and they use it for DNA. So it is the most latest technology. It should be more accurate at the end.
Excellent. Okay, is that another question?
Yeah.
What is it?
Okay, so Stephanie wants to know, how do you obtain the blood? As an RHN, we are not qualified to obtain a sample.
That's right. So we provide a kit, and in the kit is a finger prick. The patient can do it, or your client can do it at home. They can do it wherever they want. You take a finger prick, a lot like doing a finger prick for diabetes, and you take the blood and you put it into a vial that's provided, and then you send it to us. So you don't have to do anything. The client will do whatever you want.
There's an instruction with the kits on how to do it too, step by step too.
Yeah, it comes with this little, this is the pinprick thing, right?
Yeah, finger prick.
And then there's two vials in here,
Yeah.
so this is a vial and a vial.
Yeah. So you put the blood in the vial with the green lid. I don't know how color coded it is here.
Yeah, sorry, where are you? There it is.
Yeah.
So that's
So
the
the blood will go into there, and then that vial goes into the other vial, and you ship it back to us.
Yeah, and it also comes with instructions, and it comes with a swab so that you can do this alcohol, you can clean it, and it comes with a Band-Aid. What do you think of that?
And what you do is you take all the garbage, put it back in the bag, and you send everything back to us. We have the proper facilities to get rid of any of the garbage there, like the finger pricks. We're paying huge to have this done properly, so you might as well send it back to us, and we'll dispose of it so there's nothing left in your office.
And I see there's a bunch of barcodes here. So they put that on one of those on the test when they send it back, correct?
No,
No,
the barcode is for courier. We pay for the courier.
It's a courier bag.
Okay, so yeah, it comes with this courier bag.
Yep.
CanAlt pays for the courier. You have a form that you have to fill out. Okay.
Yes.
So you have everything that you need, and they provide the kits for free. So you don't pay anything until your client pays you, and then you pay CanAlt. Send them the information. Do I have this correct, Frank? Send them everything. They run the test, send it back. Is that correct?
Yep. Yeah. So
the report comes with the patient guide booklet, which can tell you about the food you are allergic to and how to avoid this food. Also, how to avoid the same ingredient in another food, and how to substitute the vitamins and the minerals and the protein. Like, for example, if you are allergic to milk, you need to substitute for protein, for calcium. So you can, the alternative food you can use.
Perfect. Okay, is that a question, Marina? Another question?
Okay. Is it legal for the client to take their own sample in our office as an RHM?
Yes.
yes.
Of course.
And Cindy wants to know how much blood is needed.
The
There is
vial. Yep. Sorry, Nagy, go. Yep.
The vial has a marker on it, so it's about 8 to 10 drops of blood, approximately. Yeah, there is a mark at the bottom of the vial.
Right. And Stephanie wants to know how much does the IgG test cost and how many foods are tested.
Okay, first of all, I sent everyone out the pricing. So CanAlt does not want the pricing. This is recorded. It's going to be on YouTube. So they don't want the pricing on YouTube because, again, it's wholesale pricing to you. So if you check the email that I sent out, either the one yesterday or the one today, the pricing is listed there.
If you're still in doubt, you can email me, and we'll have my email up at the end.
What's that?
Debbie wants to know, does the courier pick up the from Hinton, Alberta?
Yep. Well, from where?
Hinton, Alberta.
Okay.
It's about 3 hours out of Edmonton.
North, south, east, or west?
I think it's south of Edmonton, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, this courier goes all across Canada, so I would think we wouldn't want to exclude anybody. So I would say yes, but when in doubt, I will check it out. So, but I just wanted to go back to that one question. They asked how many foods were being tested. We're testing for 200 plus foods. They asked that. We didn't answer that question, but it's over 200 foods.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, it's west of Edmonton. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
What is the courier service?
Who's the courier?
Yeah, who's the courier? Debbie wants to know.
It's on the bag there.
Yeah.
ATS.
It is
ATS Healthcare.
Yeah. So we're starting with ATS.
Okay.
If there's some really obscure areas or destinations, we will be using FedEx as well. FedEx seem to be take longer to set up an account than ATS.
Okay. Another question.
Okay.
Louisa wants to know, I'm not sure if this question was covered the other night, but how does hair dye affect the hair analysis?
Okay, we did a study on most of the hair analysis and most of the hair dye in the market, and we tested before and after. We found there's not a big difference between the results. You may have a different types of color, new product coming out in the market, but in order to avoid, or if you're worried about the hair color, you can wait 3 to 6 weeks so you can have a fresh growing hair, and you use that fresh growing hair.
The other thing we found is that we're talking parts per billion. The numbers are slightly different between colored hair and non-colored hair, but the profiles and the ratios were exactly the same. Therefore, it's really a non-issue. Black, what was it in the old days?
Grecian formula.
Yeah, that's right. Nagy remembers. I don't. Grecian formula is very, very bad for it. And bleached hair is not good.
Okay.
Colored is, but bleached is not.
Okay.
Okay?
That's good to know. Okay.
Yeah.
Do they want to see those?
Not yet.
Okay, good to know. So Joanne wants to know, does the blood sample need to be sent within a certain time frame?
Yeah, we have 2 weeks on the blood. If you're going to take the blood, we suggest you put it in the fridge, and it's good for up to 2 weeks. So get it sent to us ASAP, and then we analyze it before it's a non-issue.
How long does it take for someone, if you receive the test?
Yep.
You do this for both the hair analysis and the IgG. So if you receive it, say on Wednesday, when will they get their reports? How is it? 2 weeks, 1 week, 3 weeks?
We're looking at having results back within 5 working days.
Wow.
So on the hair for sure, and on the blood, it's working out at least that. Yeah.
Great. Okay. Next question.
So Tanya wants to know, I didn't have an official office yet. I'm assuming it's legal for the client to take their own sample from home and give to me to submit to on their behalf.
Absolutely.
Well, isn't it not? It's legal for the client to do it anywhere the client wants to do it, right? Their finger. So they can prick. You can prick your own finger anywhere you want. You could do it in the middle of an intersection in downtown Toronto if you wanted to. You might stop traffic, but legally, people don't, like, you're allowed to do what you want to yourself. The same is true with the hair. They have to cut their hair. And so, but anybody can cut their own hair.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, since we talk about cutting of the hair is like a memory stick. So if your hair is down to your shoulders and you cut it off at the tip, that's going to tell us what happened in your body about 4 or 5 years ago. So we want new growth, which is the best spot is the nape of the neck and close to the scalp. So we don't want it any more than 1.5 inches from the scalp, because that will be older hair. We want to know, and you want to know, what's happening with your patients right now, not what happened a year ago. The other thing, you want to use clean scissors. Those electric clippers are not good because you get friction of two metals binding together may contaminate the hair sample. And as well, sometimes they oil those. So we don't want the oil to contaminate the hair samples. So clean scissors is the best way to take a hair sample.
Okay.
I would like to add that there is a difference between hair analysis, urine, and blood, because some people say that, oh, it's better to do urine analysis for check the heavy metals. Urine analysis should be it is like the body's ability to excrete the heavy metals. So it depends on the patient excretion. It depends on the detoxification program. It depends on his kidney function. And sometimes when you give the patient like a chelating agent to chelate the metals, and then do you want to check it in the urine, sometimes you cause a problem with the heavy metals, because you bring it back into the system and might cause more damage than it should be. Blood is representing the past 72 hours. So if you've been exposed to any heavy metals, the body circulates the heavy metals into the blood and then deposits into the hair, bones, and teeth. But here is an easy way. The last thing is urine also get affected by the food, what you are eating and what you are excreting. So hair analysis, it should be the storage. It should be like if you have toxin, it will be stored in the hair. If you have poor nutrition, it will show in the hair too. Okay?
Excellent. Okay, we got quite a few questions here. I think you're going to have to scroll down to see them all.
Okay.
I see one here that says, and this is an Aggie question, does the hair analysis do as good a job as a zinc tally?
Zinc tally is also representing the status. Zinc tally is like you take a few drops of zinc and you put it in your tongue. If you feel the metals, that means if you feel the metal taste, that means that you had enough zinc. If you don't feel it, that means you don't have enough zinc. In the hair analysis, it will show the past 3 months or the past, like the past, or what's happening inside your body. Because if I eat something which is high in zinc, like a cheese or meat or egg, I might have still zinc high in my blood and might feel it in my mouth. But after that, it will disappear.
The other thing about the hair mineral analysis, we're not just looking at one mineral. We're looking at a combination. So if you're low in zinc, we want to know why, and we can compare that to other minerals in the body as well as ratios and all that. So hair analysis will give you much more information as opposed to yes, I'm high, yes, I'm low. Right?
That's good. Okay.
Okay, so Joanne wants to know regarding hair analysis, how much hair is required, and just wondering about people with short hair.
Yeah, so I've, and the police are really tough too because they have really, really short hair. So, how much hair? I want enough to be, if I cut it all up, to put it on a tablespoon. And people with short hair, in the back of the neck, they tend to have a line. Move that line up. That's what I've done, and just taken all across the back of it.
Okay. Next question.
I see one here. What if the client wants to pick up their prick their own finger? What is the legal issues regarding that?
They have to prick their own finger.
No, what if the client wants us to prick their finger?
Yes.
We
Prick
can't
the finger.
do that because it's not legal.
And I don't want to hear about it.
That's right.
And
maybe they can get a family member to prick their finger.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a question here says, why are thyroid test results often different in hair and blood? Like they tested the thyroid and they said that, oh, we are fine, the TSH is fine, the T3 is fine, the T4 are fine, okay? But when you test the hair, it tells you there's a problem with your thyroid. Because hair check the effect of the hormone. If the hormone quality is good or not, or if the hormone is working on the hair, on the cell or not. But in the blood, you could have a good level of T3 and T4, but the hormone is not working on the cell, or there's a problem with the hormone itself. In the hair, we will see the ratios between calcium and potassium. We'll be able to know the effect of the hormone. We'll see why the thyroid hormone are not working. Could be copper problem, could be Mercury toxicity problem, or could be deficiency of selenium, other things too.
Okay. Can everyone hear okay? Because we're getting some concerns. Can you please type in if you can hear okay?
All right, so what's the next question?
Okay, so the next question is,
Sorry, I don't know why I'm looking.
How does the nutritionist make money?
Okay.
Frank.
Well, first of all, you get money on the visit. We make it so that you can mark up the hair, so that you make money on the hair and you make money on the food sensitivity.
I think Melinda or Meredith can answer this question too.
One of you ladies like to take that?
Okay, I'll say something about that. Yes, the price of the hair analysis is quite reasonable, and the charge that we can charge our clients is quite reasonable, I also think. So, you know, you're going to get, you're going to charge for the hair analysis, then you're going to charge for a visit, or you're going to include a consultation fee in with your visit. You're going to work this the way that you want. Now, whatever recommendations you make, if you've got a product, a lot of people might need help with digestion because they've got malabsorption, or they need probiotics to build up their flora. You know, you're going to get a markup on that. Does that answer the question, Meredith?
No.
Have you got anything to say?
That is, when we can't speak about actual amounts that we're charging, yes, you answered it. Yes, you can. Yes.
Yeah.
I did put in the suggested retail in the list of pricing that I sent out in the emails. So you can see it there, but it's a good 40% markup, I would say, for the, or it's almost, I'd say about a 40% of the total cost of the client goes to the practitioner. It's quite good.
I should mention that sometimes a person doesn't want to see you unless you're doing the hair analysis. So sometimes you get a whole appointment where you wouldn't have even seen them had you not offered the hair analysis.
Yeah. Good point. You get the second visit.
So Tanya wants to know, do you have a PDF summary of the guidelines, instructions that you can make available to us?
Where's it? And that's on what? Hair or blood?
She didn't indicate. She just
so
instructions, guidelines and instructions.
there's some guy named Ramiz asked a question. What kind of... Ramiz works with our lab, by the way, and a good friend of David Wolf's. And Ramiz and our owner, Dr. Pierre, wrote a chapter in David Wolf's last book, Chega, King of Medicinal Mushrooms. So, Dr. Chega, what kind of machine are you using for the hair mineral analysis? Ramiz, it's the same machine you used for the last 30 years, an ICP-MS spectrometer. And actually, it's interesting. This is the same machine they sent to Mars because they're looking for minerals. So that's what we're looking for. So, what a great question, boy.
Okay.
I want to go back. Kathy had a question about, for Nagy, can we ascertain thyroid function from the hair analysis? I think she may have missed that part of it, but we can see a potential issue with thyroid, and that's the beauty about the hair. Sometimes we can see things, profiles that point towards a certain health issue before it actually manifests in the body. So if you're going to, Nagy will look at it and say, well, I see a thyroid issue, run and get a blood test or whatever it is from the doctor. They're like, no, your thyroid's fine. We can see it before it actually manifests in the body, and that will give you a chance to, stop any further issues. So can we see it? Yes, we can see thyroid issues, and Nagy will actually review that when you're going over the test.
It is the same as blood sugar, and so when you tested the blood for sugar, you tested the circulating sugar, if it's high or low. But in the hair, you test how is the glucose intolerance happened inside the cell, if the cell is be able to handle that sugar or not. So it's different than the blood. Hair is completely different than the blood at the end.
So Stephanie wants to know, what if you are a live cell microscopist?
Live blood microscopist.
Live cell
Are
microscopist.
We? No.
I think she's asking, can you do the pinprick if you are you certified to do live blood microscopy?
Of course, yeah, of course.
Yes. If that's within your scope, then that's within your scope. It's not within the scope of a holistic nutritionist.
Right.
Okay.
So Alina wants to know, is it okay if the hair sample was cut a week ago by someone in Europe? And
Yes, hair analysis is,
forward to you.
Hair sample is very stable and nothing affect the hair. And I actually tested a mummy's hair, which we found that they have high in lead.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
nothing will happen to the sample.
Yeah, so the hair is a memory stick, and it is what it is. I think it was the in the old days, the very, very wealthy used to have their whiskey, or what was it, their alcohol, scotch, in a crystal glass. And what happens with the crystal is the alcohol actually pulls the lead out of the crystal and contaminates the alcohol. And so some of these people, very rich, were high in lead, and suspect that some died of lead poisoning because they kept their alcohol in a crystal glass. But it was considered fancy, and they did it. So interesting tidbit.
Very interesting.
Yes.
So Ramiz has a comment and says, by the way, hair mineral analysis is the best way so far to measure oxidative stress.
Yep, that's right. And so with the hair, we can, we went through that with the slide about the glutathione, because there's 4 seleniums molecules in one glutathione, which is good for your immune system. And the loss of glutathione is caused by oxidative stress and buildup of toxins, and we can see that in the hair. Was there other?
Okay, so there doesn't seem to be any more questions at the moment. So what I'd like to do now is have both Melinda and Meredith speak to, just walk us through, if each of you can walk us through sort of how you set it up. How do you promote this to your clients, and then, sort of how do you set up your appointments with this included or not? What are your questions?
Maybe I'll start with this one. So the client contacts you. First of all, I do advertise it on my website, and I advertise it on my business Facebook page, and I even send out articles on hair analysis or articles on mineral deficiencies, and then let people know I do help discover whether they have any deficiencies by hair analysis. So I advertise it, and then the person contacts me, they inquire about it, doesn't take long. They sometimes drop the hair off and put it in my mailbox. We don't even meet right away. And then often Frank will come right to my door. I can't say he'll do that for everybody, but he tries. I know that.
Of Edmonton.
Yeah.
So he'll come and pick it up and take it to the lab, and they're right when they talk about how quickly they can do this. So within a week I will hear back. I'll actually get an email from Nagy with the lab report right in it. And there's a lab report for me as the practitioner to look at, and then there's one for the client to see. Of course, the one for the practitioner is a lot more detailed. And then my next step is to call Nagy, and we go over the particulars of the lab report. And he always, always tells us to start with healing the gut. So I thought you'd all be very pleased to hear that. So then he goes through and he tells you there's this issue, and over time you get to understand the lab reports and the numbers. And then he'll even prioritize the health challenges for the individual, and they'll start with the gut, and then he'll list, 4 or 5 other areas that we're going to prioritize, so that when you next sit down with the client, you have exact recommendations for them as to how you're going to help them turn their health around. And I only meet with the client the one time. So if they want further help, I'm available, but I try to do it just in one meeting, and then we set goals as to when they're going to implement each of the recommendations.
Okay.
And I must say about anybody that I've sent to Meredith loves the whole process and loves the nutritionist.
Thanks.
Okay, Melinda, have you been using this?
Okay, I just want to say, along with Meredith, you went through Meredith went through the process, and how helpful Frank and especially Nagy is with going over the reports. And the more that you do, the more that you learn, and it's fascinating. I remember in high school taking biochemistry, and oh man, I didn't like it. And then in nutrition school, having to take it again, and I'm thinking, I just don't get any of this, but I'm so excited by all the minerals in the body and how they affect, everything that goes on in your life, because I can relate it to the hair, the hair analysis report. So I work in a couple of clinics with a chiropractor and with a dentist, and just by conversations, people coming in and not feeling well, we do a lot of mercury removal at the dental office, and this is a way, a lot of people think I get my fillings out, so the mercury is gone, and that's not always the truth. So this is a good way to test how toxic is your body. you know, why have you got weak digestion and headaches and a whole bunch of other symptoms? You know, it's a good way to just check your body, you know, what's your starting point now? Now, I work a little bit different than Meredith. You know, lots of times they come into the clinic. I will get hair sent to me. I've had it sent to me from Italy and other places around the world. Send them to Negi, and they will come in for a follow-up, you know, around 5 days after the lab receives the hair, and we will go over the report and I'll make a recommendation. Now, you know, I work a little bit different. In a month's time, they'll follow up with me again, and then we'll go into the next protocol. And this is a good way also to test if you have any supplements or anything that you use. You know, malabsorption is a big problem for most people. That's why they have dis-ease. That's why they're not feeling well. So, you know, anything that you're using in your protocols, you can also test that in, you know, a 3-month, 6-month period of time. You know, you should see some changes in the body. Sometimes you have to wait a year depending on what you're using. So it's actually very good. The hair analysis, I'm really excited to use it in my practice because it has just exploded my practice. It just makes it so much easier to be a nutritionist. Because, you know, as a nutritionist, you know, trying to guide people with their eating, you know, making some recommendations, people don't want to change that much, you know. So this is a good tool to show them this is where you're standing right now. And if you want, you know, you're heading downhill, you're heading uphill, you know, and like they said before in a conversation, you've got a lot of markers here that are showing potentials to heading in a bad direction, heading into serious problems. So this is a preventative tool that gives you time to turn the body around and head it in a different direction. Excellent. So I'm really excited to use it in my practice.
So if we can go some questions, I'm going to ask Melinda to tell about, after some questions about the success story of your cancer patient.
Okay.
And Meredith, remember last year, right around this time, that lady was in the hospital, that older lady, and her husband didn't think she was going to get out of the hospital for Christmas?
Right.
Okay. So I just wanted to give you a heads up because we didn't plan this, but.
All right, so what are the questions?
Okay, so Amy wants to know what hormones are tested at CanAlt.
Just the cortisol right now, right?
Well, these are, well, Nagy can see the quality of the hormone. Nagy?
We don't test saliva. We don't test hormone for saliva, but we test cortisol in the hair. And also from the hair analysis, you will be able to see the quality of the hormone, thyroid, adrenal, endocrine. We can see the sugar issue, the pancreatic, the insulin effect too. But we don't test hormones from saliva or from blood.
You're just seeing the effect of
the hormone.
Potential imbalance in those hormones, right?
Yeah.
Can we go to Maggie's question? Maggie asked, did you say that hair mineral analysis can test blood sugar levels too? That is not correct. We can see if there's blood issues or sugar issues.
It's a glucose intolerance factor. We test for how is the body handling the sugar, and also why is the person, sometimes the person is diabetic. Okay, you know that zinc is can help in stimulating the beta cell in the pancreas. So one of the issue to treat the diabetic is to use zinc. Chromium, vanadium are a cofactor. They work as insulin too. So all of this will help with the blood sugar problem if the patient is diabetic or have. But we don't diagnose diabetic or this person having a tendency to being diabetic. We just find the cause of the problem, of the blood sugar problem.
And sometimes before it manifests in the body. So we could say, listen, we see a profile of potential sugar issues. They run to their doctor, get their A1C done, and the doctor says, they don't know what they're talking about. Your A1C is fine. We're not saying right now, if I see a brake line leak in your car, I'm going to say you're going to have brake issues. Not necessarily today, tomorrow, or a week, but somewhere you have the profile directing you to have sugar issues. So it's a great preventative tool.
Okay. The next question.
Kathy wants to know, how long does it take, relatively speaking, to get a grip on understanding the lab results?
Meredith and Melinda will answer this.
Meredith.
Well, Nagy and I kind of have it down pat because we've done it a number of times, so now we can do it in 5 minutes. Probably the first time we spoke took 25 minutes, so, but you can get used to it really quickly. So, and then it's nothing at all to understand.
Mm-hmm. And there's books that are available that can help guide you. Nagy can tell you the books to get, but it's repetition. It's just doing it, and then you learn more each time.
Yeah. The one thing about the hair mineral analysis is, as a nutritionist, you understand the importance and you understand the minerals in the body. That's half the battle. Once you understand that and know that, all you want to do is be able to look at a report and go, how do I see this? How do I see that? Mm-hmm. So we don't have to teach you about the importance of the minerals. We just have to show you how you see it on our report, and that's done fairly quickly.
Okay. Next question.
Marilla wants to know, is there a training available on reading the lab reports?
Yep. Phone Nagy.
Customized to you.
Customized to you. We were looking at doing a teaching like on a weekend or something like that. We were prepared to do it. The problem with that is that somebody's not going to be able to make it, and then on Monday morning they're going to say, "Oh, I missed it. Can you redo it?" Well, I'm also looking at possibly doing it online. So if you want to learn, you'll be able to go to our website and check out, how do I see thyroid issue? How do I see adrenal issue? How do I and do that? But nothing in the near future. But we're always open if you got suggestions.
Okay, so Pamela wants to know, does the price the client pays show as a fee paid to the naturopath? Rexall works this way.
I don't know that I really understand the question, but I think Rexall is actually putting it through as a naturopathic visit, I guess. I'm not 100% sure how they do that.
Yeah, but didn't we have this question that it's not covered under even for the naturopath, it's not covered under.
No. We have medical doctors that have to charge for it, so it's not covered under anybody.
But I put it under a nutritional consultation, and even if they don't have coverage with their benefits for a nutritionist, when they submit their income tax, they still get some of it back.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Some benefits have, they don't call it naturopath, they don't call it homeopath, they just call it alternative medicine. And sometimes up to $500, and that would qualify as well.
Next question.
Okay, Deborah is asking Meredith. She said she just peeked at your website, and your hair analysis includes 25-page report. It is part of that the actual hair analysis, or do you do complete different? Do you do a completely different report?
Most of that is the hair analysis report itself, and then I add to it with my own recommendations.
Okay, great. So Ramiz is saying, other comment, body makes a vitamin, but body don't.
Does it? Yeah, I know what he's saying here.
Knowing that, yeah, the body doesn't make minerals, so you're missing a key tool.
Yeah, so your body cannot make up minerals. It has to get it from nutrition.
Right.
Okay. And he also, Ramiz also says, I analyze insulin.
It has 17 parts per million of zinc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kathy says, do you recommend treatment plan?
No, we don't recommend the treatments, but we just highlight the problem and we leave it to the practitioners because hair analysis works very well with the symptomatology. So you need to do your homework, you need to do your symptoms. The patient has to fill up the symptomatology sheet, and you do other assessment too with the hair analysis.
Okay, great. And Pamela says Rexall price can be submitted to insurance as a naturopathic visit.
So that's what they're doing. They're just putting they're calling it a naturopathic visit, but I think it's almost $500 for that test. And again, I don't know. I haven't checked it lately, but when you get your email, I'm sure you can see a good. We provide a good price.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that if the insurance companies knew that was what was being done, I don't know if they'd be too happy with that. So
Yeah.
I'd be careful with that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is
Sorry?
that another question there?
Yeah, we have another question. So Sharon says, you mentioned in the last webinar that it was the same as the liver biopsy. Can you explain on this what similarities?
I know the writing's small. So what I said there, what they did is they did testing. They tested the minerals with the liver biopsy versus a hair, and it was like a straight line. So it was like getting the same results. So if you want to know the minerals in your body, you can look at your hair, you can look at your teeth, you look at your fingernails, and you can look at your liver. And that's where they're stored.
Well, that's good to know.
That's what we meant by that.
Wow. I think we should also mention, because I'm not sure how much this got covered on Tuesday, that you also have the breast milk test. So essentially they offer a test if a mother wants to submit her breast milk. They can test for heavy metals and they can test for DHA content as well. Do you want us to speak to how they do that particular test?
That's a Nagy question.
Maybe.
Okay, I don't get the question exactly.
Okay.
How do we test for heavy metals?
Yeah. So yeah, how much breast milk is needed, and how is
done. Okay. Okay. First, why is the mother wants to test her breast milk? Because sometimes we see those kids has a problem like autistic kids or ADHD, and they said, why is my son having this problem? Usually the kids get the problem when they are inside the mother womb, when she's pregnant with that kid. She can give them she can transfer all the heavy metals from her blood to the children, and after birth too, she's still feeding him. She might have high lead or high copper in her body, and still the baby get the same dosage of these heavy metals. So to do this test, she can collect about 100 milliliters of the milk, and she can collect it in the collection bag, the breast milk bag, and she can ship it to us overnight by express. We recommend that she can freeze it first before she can start. Is everybody can hear me well?
Yes, yes.
Okay, because I wasn't on the screen. I wasn't sure.
Melinda made some noise. It's okay. Don't worry, Maggie.
Okay. So
live.
if she can freeze the breast milk before she ship it, it will stay frozen, and we need about 100 milliliters. She can collect it in the milk collection bag, like the breast milk collection bag, and freeze it. and ship it to us.
Excellent.
Good.
Okay, is that another question there, Marina?
No, it's already read.
Okay.
If
All right.
Melinda wants to talk about her success with that cancer patient.
Great.
Okay, I had a client that was coming to me for quite a few years, and we'd been working with her, and then she did a routine check, and they found that she had a cancer, actually ovarian cancer. So I was working with her for a while, and she was going back, she was doing the medical and the natural approach, and was making recommendations to her. The cancer was already metastasized, but it was only increasing a little bit, like just minusculely getting larger. And so the last time she did the chemo, I said to her, you know, by now I was doing the hair mineral analysis in my practice. I said, let's do this and find out specifically what minerals you're deficient in so that I can make a better specific recommendation for you. So we did the hair analysis, I sent it off to Nagy, and it showed a lot of significant problems and deficiencies and, you know, acidosis and a lot of problems. And I made my recommendation, and she followed it exactly to the T and was watching her diet and was really looking after herself. And 3 months later, I did another hair analysis. And I remember it was Friday night just before they were closing the office, and I phoned Nagy and I begged him to take the call. That I was so excited with the results that I said, you've got to have made a mistake. There's no way somebody can change like this. But she actually made quite a significant change in her health. So the hair mineral analysis is just amazing. You know, if you've got somebody who wants to work with you and is very serious on making a change in their lifestyle and getting better and health-wise, it's just the best way to check that things are coming along. Tickety-boo.
She had stage 4 cancer.
She had stage 4 metastatic ovarian cancer. Yeah, and she was told, you know, yeah.
Go home, get your affairs in order. You got 3 months to live.
Yeah.
What happened
So
3 months later?
it was quite serious. But I also have another quick client that if I can tell you, this kid had dystonia. So that's when you're walking on your toes and you're out of balance. And within 2 months period, we were able to turn him around, that he was walking flat-footed. He'd been to all the specialists at Sick Kids, and what it was actually copper deficiency, actually copper toxicity, and other imbalances in the body, but he had all those symptoms. Do you remember that one, Nagy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was very exciting to be able to, you know, help this kid lead a normal life, because this wasn't a good life for him. But these are the things we can find in the hair mineral analysis. Nobody knew that it was the copper, and it was the hair mineral analysis that found that out.
And a nutritionist.
And yeah.
Yes.
Can I ask you then, and this is both for Meredith and Melinda, so once you see these either deficiencies or in the case of excess copper, what kind of recommendations? Are you strictly doing supplements? Are you doing food and supplements? Or are you doing food?
I'm doing both.
So am I.
Yeah.
Excellent.
You see, I would like to say something regarding the toxicity. Why the body are collecting toxic metals? The body can differentiate between aluminum and zinc, or copper and zinc, because they both had the same molecular structure. So what happened when the patient or the person having a deficiency of zinc, the body will start to absorb copper, absorb aluminum, absorb all toxins. So in order to reverse this, you need to give the minerals, give that zinc, and then the patient will start to recover from the problem. The problem with toxic metals is they said that this patient have a genetic problem and which create a diabetes. Actually, no. It's the problem start when the minerals are not in balance with the body, so the gene start to change its structure, and then the diseases start to show. The heart problem, the cardiovascular problem, the diabetic problem, and all of these problems. So you need to deal with the cause of the problem.
All right, we have some more questions.
Okay. So Debbie wants to know, do you test, sorry, give me a second. Do you test, do your tests show Candida antibodies? Rocky Mountain analysis tests for Candida as an add-on.
Yeah, ours is going to be an add-on. Because of the new technology, we had to get different slides for it for our machine, and they're not in yet. But Candida is something that we'll be adding to our scope.
But Nagy can identify it and tell you if it's there.
Usually, the patient who had high copper, he had high Candida, because Candida likes copper.
Meredith, do you want to tell us about that lady?
Yes. So I'll just quickly tell you two stories. So a lady came because she was so nauseous throughout the whole day. She'd lost so much weight. Her husband didn't think she was going to make it through Christmas. She'd been to the doctor, had stool samples done, all sorts of testing done, couldn't figure anything out. We did the hair analysis. It showed Parasite, which is exactly what I thought it was based on her symptoms. Put her on a Parasite cleanse, and she was okay. So that was great. And then, especially when they'd gone to so many doctors and not got the results.
And sorry, Meredith. And the husband was almost crying, asking me about, I need help with a hair analysis help. And I said, well, I don't know about the hair analysis, but I know a nutritionist will help. And he says, they don't think she'll get out for Christmas. And I phoned Meredith after Christmas and said, what happened? And she was home and she made Christmas dinner for the whole family and felt great. Right, Meredith?
Yeah.
So he phoned me praising the nutritionist, which was good.
So then the other story is just that there was a 12-year-old that had a lot of anxiety and was heading towards OCD. And lead showed up as a problem within her hair analysis, which wouldn't surprise us as nutritionists, but that's what the parent needs to see. And then we did a heavy metal cleanse after we did a number of the other cleanses, and that girl's doing incredibly. And I never even told you guys that. So Frank and Nagy didn't even know how much they helped that girl.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got several questions here.
Yeah.
Would I be able to get, or Joanne wants to know, would I be able to get some kits? I'm still a student, but it would be helpful in one of my case studies, client with heart failure and neuropathic issues.
So you have to go through a nutritionist, right?
Yeah, you'll have to find a nutritionist who would do the test for you or order it for you. Because you can't do it as a student.
Yeah.
Yet. But soon. You can do it soon.
Sharon says, sorry I was late getting on. Have you already spoken about the processing of chain of custody, obtaining and shipping the samples? For instance, are the sample containers sent directly to the client or to the nutritionist?
Yeah, so at CanAlt Labs, we don't deal with the public. And that's why if somebody phones me, I direct them to a client of ours in their particular area. So Meredith will find that I send some people to her, Melinda will find I send some people to her, and I try not to show favorites, but I tell the people, even if I do the report for you, we can't even tell you what to do about it. So you might as well go through a nutritionist.
And Christine says, could you please email the cost and suggested retail price of the breast milk analysis and heavy metal for the heavy metals and DHA?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll talk about that, and I'll get it to you, Lorraine. Yeah.
So Sue says, great information. I'm so excited to get started.
Oh, perfect. We like.
Okay, does Meredith or Melinda have any experience using the IgG or the cortisol hair test? Have you guys used that yet?
Well, the hair analysis shows the level of stress every time. So that's part of the hair analysis, and I've seen it many times, the stress levels off the chart. So when a client sees that, that's a big wake-up call for them. In terms of the other tests, no, the IgG is really new. I haven't used that yet.
Yeah, and the same with me. I haven't used it yet, but I've got people lined up that are waiting to get going with it. And it's a great addition to your practice.
Yeah, we, as CanAlt Labs, we're the specialists. I mean, we're the specialists in hair mineral analysis. We were slow off the start. We were looking for maybe to partner up with somebody to do the IgG testing. Never seemed to find something that fit our needs. And our owner just said, I see this new technology. Let's just buy the equipment and do it ourselves. So it is relatively new for us, and we're going for it.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I think both are quite exciting additions for holistic nutritionists.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't had a lot of tests at our disposal. We haven't had a lot of ways of measuring, before and afters. And one of the things that's really nice about the hair mineral analysis, of course, is that it is very reasonably priced. It's not expensive at all. It's not something that you can easily do a before and after with a client. And I think that's a great, great tool. And the fact that you guys have spent so much time linking it to different health conditions and linking the deficiencies to different health conditions is a real asset, because it will help the nutritionists know how to guide the clients better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, these people will, they'll spend twice as much on a dinner than they would on this hair analysis, or they'll buy a case of beer, weekly. So the money they spend on their health here, well, is money well spent.
Exactly. Is that a question?
Yeah. Maggie says, I may have missed this, but how do you get started on doing the hair mineral analysis and working with the CanAlt Labs, Frank and Nagy?
Yeah, so Lorene, you're going to put my email up at the end, and you can just email me and I'll get your information and I'll send you kits. So the kits that I send you for the hair are free. When you use the kit, you send it back. We don't charge you until the hair analysis is done. So we will be charging you, so I encourage you to make sure you get your money up front from your client, because we're going to be charging you anyway, whether they pay you or not. So you don't want to get stuck. So make sure you get the money. That ensures that they come back. It ensures that you get paid and everything's on the up and up. For the food sensitivity, it costs us $10 to put a kit together. All I ask is that you use it. It is free for you. We just want to make sure that we're not just sending out 50 kits and one gets used, because that's a lot of money.
Yeah, so you want them to order kits as needed, as opposed to try and get a whole bunch in, because for exactly why you said.
Yeah, when I send you the hair, I'll send you 15, 20 kits. I don't have a problem doing that. I try to send maybe 5 of the food sensitivity kits to you, and we can replace those. If you're using them, I'm glad to send them to you.
And just to clarify, you're also paying for the courier for the IgG test, but they have to pay postage for the hair analysis, which, of course, is going to be no more than the cost of a stamp for a letter, because that's about the size.
Right, and you can put 2 or 3 hair samples in one envelope and just mail it to us. So it's just regular postage.
Actually, Anna's question already got answered. It was regarding the paying up front and the kits being free, so that's fine.
Yeah. I mean, this is one of the things we look for when we, at CanPro, when we recommend something, because we know that holistic nutritionists don't want to, and it's not viable for them to be paying a lot of upfront costs. It's just not good business. So we always look for things where you get paid, then you pay, because that's good business.
Yeah, that's right. And there's a little bit of markup for you, but it's certainly well deserved. So we want you to make money because we want you there next year to be able to help people, right? If you don't make any money, you're not going to be around. So as Mr. Gecko said on that movie, greed is good.
So Maggie says, thanks for the thanks. That's great. And Anna said, yes, thanks. You answered her question.
Perfect.
Okay.
Good.
So if does anybody else have any other questions? I think we've talked quite a bit. What time is it? I'm sorry, everyone. I don't have my glasses. I can't see.
10:07.
10:07. So we've talked for over an hour. So if no one else has any questions, you will be able to email Frank with any other questions that you may have. Is that a question? Sorry, I can't even see if it's a question.
Pamela, is cortisol test as standalone or an add-on to the hair mineral analysis?
It's a separate test. Yes.
Okay. And it is cheaper than the hair mineral analysis. Not much, but it's just a bit cheaper.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will be putting together another email tomorrow. It will go out. It will include both Tuesday's replay plus this replay, and it will also include the pricing plus Frank's email. You can contact Frank to set up an account, and then you are ready to rock. You can start ordering your tests and doing whatever you want with it, and they'll provide you with full support on everything so that you don't have to worry about anything. Is that a question?
No.
Not a question? It's just a, okay.
Just thanks.
Just lots of things coming.
The one question was there, where are your glasses?
Yeah, I was going to say, I've been squinting at the computer all night, and I still don't see them. So, all right, I don't think we're having any more questions, so I will thank, was that a question?
No. Oh.
Many thanks, Laureen, for organizing this Q&A. Everyone's great.
Excellent.
Comments, clarifications. I guess you don't need your glasses to drive on the Don Valley, huh?
No, I don't. I only need
It goes that slow. You don't have to worry about it.
Yes.
And I gotta tell you, it's good to see Nagy still awake because he was in the lab at 4 o'clock this morning, and it's what 10 o'clock at night now. So.
And you thought you weren't going to be able to stay awake, Nagy, and look at this. I've been frying chipper all night, so.
And I have to come tomorrow too.
Yeah, that's right. So.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. So feel free to.
Thank you.
Email me.
For a question or just?
No, it's just saying it. It was so interesting and loved learning about the tools and the RHNs can do. And thank you. Very informative. Can't wait to register and lots of thank yous.
Great. Okay.
And Frank was the guest. Oh, sorry, that was my mom who sent that. That's right.
Okay, everyone.
This has been really informative. Thanks for organizing this, Laureen, for taking the time to share this vital tool for our profession.
I think it's going to make a really big difference for everyone. I really do. I think it's going to
make a great difference.
Yeah, I think it's going to help. Have you found that, Melinda and Meredith? It helps getting more clients. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I think it's going to be very, very important. Okay, I want to thank everyone for coming. Thank you guys for attending. You've been great questions all night. And as I said, the email will go out tomorrow, and you'll have all the contact information. You can contact Frank, and away you go. Okay, good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
All right, I just have to move that there. There we go.